Speaking virtually at a recent international economic forum, former Shadow President Elon Musk was asked about his future involvement in politics. And Musk was visibly defeated when he replied that he would effectively be no longer bankrolling Trump and the Republican Party in future election cycles the way that he had in previous election cycles, indicating that his involvement in politics would be greatly diminished moving forward, and we have to talk about it. But before we do, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, it's been a minute since we've talked about the beleaguered former shadow president, Elon Musk, the world's richest man, one of the most powerful men on the planet, a man who, at times during the election, after the election, and during the first few months of Trump's second term, was almost like the hand of the king in Game of Thrones parlance, the power behind the throne, at times privately and publicly bullying Donald Trump, it seemed, into positions that Trump had previously opposed, but were more aligned with Musk. And now he's vanished, like a tumbleweed has blown through the White House, and Musk is nowhere to be seen. So I want to play this clip when Musk is talking at the Qatar Economic Forum, and he's asked about his involvement in politics going forward. Look at his face, see the defeat on his face and in his voice as he gives this answer.
Are you going to continue to spend at that kind of level on future elections?
I think in terms of political spending, I'm going to do a lot less in the future.
And why is that?
I think I've done enough.
Is it because of blowback?
Well, if I see a reason to do political spending in the future, I will do it. I do not currently see a reason.
Are you going to continue to...
It's because of the blowback. It is absolutely, like he could have said, I mean, just, it's stunning. Musk's entire demeanor there and his answers were stunning. This is a man who has tried to emulate Trump in so many ways, the bravado, the hubris, the arrogance, and certainly he's as close to Trump as one can possibly be in terms of malignant narcissism. But, Elon Musk for the longest time tried to be Robert Downey Jr.'s interpretation of Iron Man, this with all the swagger and the charisma of this fictional billionaire, even though he has none of that, right? He has the wealth, but none of the genius, none of the charisma, none of the swagger. And I've always said that instead of becoming Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man, he was actually like the B villain in Iron Man 2, played by Sam Rockwell, Justin Hammer, right? The wannabe Iron Man. That's who Musk seems to be more in persona. But he's always tried to be, as arrogant as possible. So months ago, if you'd asked Musk that question, he would have been like, no, hell no. What backlash? People love me. People love what I'm doing. I mean, the backlash I've gotten is so small, it's trivial. Of course, I don't factor that in. Instead, you can tell it is the backlash. And he's like, well, if I feel like it's appropriate, or if I feel like I need to do some spending, then maybe I will. But he could have said no. And by not answering the question directly, he gave the entire game away. This is a man who is visibly defeated in light of the overwhelming backlash he's received from the American people. Let's be very clear before we look into some articles about this, talking about Musk's disappearance from Trump's orbit and the public spotlight. Elon Musk is objectively unpopular. He's increasingly unpopular, and he doesn't have the benefit of the doubt that Republicans and the American people give somebody like Donald Trump inexplicably and stupidly. Musk has none of that. And that's contributed to so much of it. He has been repudiated in the biggest possible way. So let's take a look at this. Why Elon Musk disappeared from the spotlight. The tech CEO isn't exactly gone yet, but Republicans have stopped bringing him up. Elon Musk and Donald Trump were the main characters on the internet and across Washington day after day. Then the world's richest man started to fade away. On Truth Social, where Trump is known for sharing his unfiltered thoughts, the president used to mention Musk every few days, but has now not posted about him in more than a month. Trump's fundraising operation has largely ceased sending emails that name-check the Tesla CEO. The billionaire's name, once a staple of White House briefings, now hardly gets mentioned at all. Even members of Congress have essentially dropped him from their newsletters. It's a remarkable change for the man who was seemingly everywhere in the early days of the second Trump administration. Musk was in the Oval Office, in cabinet meetings, and on Air Force One. He was at inauguration, then in the House gallery for Trump's first address to Congress, where Trump praised his hard work. He posed with Trump in a row of Teslas on the White House lawn. But Musk's highly visible presence in Washington has ended, a political analysis found. In Trump's rapidly evolving second presidency, Musk's monopoly on political discourse, news coverage, and social media seems to have broken, driven in part by how Trump and Republicans have all but stopped talking about him. "I miss him," said Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana. Musk's shrinking presence could have political benefits for the GOP. Public polling has revealed him to be increasingly unpopular, far more so than Trump. Early last month, Republicans also lost a major Wisconsin judicial race where Musk had become both a major funder and a campaign issue. And in Washington, the cost-slashing efforts of Musk's Department of Government Efficiency have continued, but have taken a political backseat to tariffs and the budget fight. Republicans still speak favorably of Musk when asked about him, and they of course want his massive wealth, army of supporters, and online influence machine backing them in future elections. But while Kennedy argued that Musk stepping back won't, quote, make any difference one way or another, end quote, for the midterms, others are starting to say the best way for the CEO to help the party might not be on the campaign trail ahead of 2026. Quote, those polls on favorability basically tell you Elon's doing a great job when he's on the inside, said David McIntosh, CEO of the Conservative Club for Growth. And hopefully he stays a long time to do that and doesn't take on this role of a campaign surrogate. That could complicate Democrats' efforts to use Musk as a political foil. They've spent months honing strategies, including in the Wisconsin race, to tie the unpopular billionaire to their Republican opponents in battleground contests across the country. But the Tesla CEO, who has an enormous following on his social media platform X, is unlikely to completely disappear, and Democrats say they can still use him as a boogeyman. Musk has become such a potent villain on the left that Democrats still expect to invoke him ahead of competitive elections this year in Virginia and New Jersey, as well as in next year's midterms. And while Republicans are less inclined to put him at the forefront, they're also not fully backing away from him. Quote, ultimately, the issue was never about Elon Musk. It was about Elon Muskism, said Jesse Ferguson, a Democratic strategist. Quote, he wrote their playbook, and it's not about theoretical blame. It's all about real-world damage that he and Trump have caused that will be litigated all through the midterms. The Trump administration's shift away from Musk has been a dramatic one. In February and March, Trump posted about the Tesla CEO an average of roughly 4 times per week. Since the beginning of April, the president hasn't mentioned Musk once on Truth Social. Asked about Trump's declining mentions of Musk and whether the CEO was a political liability, the White House didn't mention Musk directly. Quote, the mission of DOGE to cut waste, fraud, and abuse will surely continue. DOGE employees who onboarded at their respective agencies will continue to work with Trump's cabinet to make sure our government are more efficient, said Trump Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt. It's not just Trump. Trump's top advisors, as well as White House accounts, have largely stopped posting photos and content that mention Musk. Trump is also no longer using Musk's name to bring in money. In February, his fundraising operation invoked Musk in emails to online supporters on a near-daily basis, a sign that the Tesla CEO was red meat for drumming up donations with the Trump-loving base. But mentions of Musk in fundraising appeals have abruptly stopped in early March. Since then, Trump has sent only one fundraising message mentioning Musk, a May email touting the Gulf of America hat that the Tesla CEO tried on. As Musk's role in the White House has publicly faded, he's generating less Google traffic search and getting mentioned less in the news. It's a far cry from the attention he was receiving as a central political figure on the campaign trail and then as the head of the Trump administration's effort to slash the federal government. Some Republicans have come to see Musk as politically toxic, which Democrats have been trying to leverage. First, there's the polling. Voters tend to view Musk far less favorably than Trump. Compared to a few months ago, the Tesla CEO's approval rating has dropped across most groups, including independents and voters without college degrees. Polling from Navigator Research earlier this spring found that Doge's work becomes less popular when tied to Musk, and polling from Data for Progress in late April found most voters wanted Musk out of the government at the end of his 130-day period as a special employee that's set to expire at the end of May, or even sooner. Quote, the public supported the effort to end wasteful Washington spending, but they did not support the way it was done, said GOP pollster Frank Luntz. His mission to cut waste from Washington was certainly helpful, but the language he used wasn't. Senator Jim Justice of West Virginia, a top Trump ally, said Musk is, quote, a patriot, and that, quote, he's really trying to give up his time and do a lot of good. But he acknowledged the Doge chief has ruffled feathers. Quote, we got too close to the fence. We mowed too far, he said. Quote, we just adjust. That's the process that's going on. In Wisconsin, Democrats put Musk at the forefront of the state Supreme Court election in April, aided by the fact that the Tesla CEO was a major donor backing the conservative candidate and showed up to campaign in the state. The race became a referendum not just on the broader Trump administration, but on Musk specifically. And Judge Susan Crawford, the liberal candidate who ran an ad accusing Musk of trying to buy a seat on the court, won by 10 points in a state where Trump had narrowly carried last November. Quote, he's finished, done, gone. He polls terrible. People hate him, said a GOP operative who was granted anonymity to speak frankly. Quote, he'd go to Wisconsin thinking he can buy people's votes, wear the cheese hat, act like a 9-year-old. It doesn't work. It's offensive to people. In addition to potential political concerns, part of Musk's shift out of the spotlight reflects the rapidly changing issue priorities over the early months of the Trump presidency. In the first few months, Doge's cuts were top of mind. And while those efforts continue, they've also given up some of the spotlight to other Trump initiatives, including his market-rocking tariffs and controversial deportations. So while Musk's public profile has declined, that does not mean he lacks access or influence. Just last week, he was among the tech CEOs to join Trump in Saudi Arabia, shaking hands with the nation's leaders and speaking at an investment forum. And Doge's aggressive cost-cutting efforts, led by a staff that Musk brought in, are expected to continue even after he formally leaves his role as a special government employee. Both Republicans and Democrats also widely expect the tech billionaire, who poured $290 million of his own money into the 2024 elections, to continue to be a major political player, although he seems to contradict that given this recent appearance at the Qatar Economic Forum, and this article was written prior to that. That's one reason why Democrats say they aren't fretting. Musk remains a foil for Democrats to highlight, but in the context of Trump and Republicans who have enabled him, said C.G. Warnke, spokesperson for the House Majority PAC, Democrat Super PAC for congressional races. The issues that have replaced Musk as a dominating issue in the news, such as potential Medicaid cuts and tariffs, are still good for Democrats to run on. In Wisconsin's Supreme Court race, several ads backing Crawford focused primarily or entirely on Musk, and for a while, Democrats would sometimes mention Musk but not Trump on social media and in statements, because of course, again, Wisconsin's a swing state. Trump won Wisconsin in 2016, lost it in 2020, got it back in 2024, so it was more viable to basically sidestep Trump and go after Musk. The Tesla CEO is still being regularly name-dropped in Democratic congressional candidates' announcements from Pennsylvania to Illinois and California in both safe and swing districts. And of the 6 Democrats running in New Jersey's June 10th gubernatorial primary, 4 have named Musk in TV ads. But recent ads tend to avoid making Musk the main villain. As ads blanket New Jersey in the final weeks of the race, the spots mentioning Musk usually put him side by side with Trump. A few give him glancing mentions or a quick flash on screen. Not the main character, which I imagine is devastating for somebody like Elon Musk. And again, Politico has written a more recent article talking about that very first clip that we played from the Qatar Economic Forum. And this is really good news. I mean, here's the reality. Trump is dangerous on his own. He's the most powerful man on earth. He's the president of the United States. He has a cult-like grip over the Republican Party. Musk and Trump together were also extremely dangerous because Musk is very powerful. He's the richest man on earth. And having him bankroll the Republican Party is basically it catalyzes the radicalization of the Republicans, because let's say you have so-called Main Street Republicans, so-called moderates like Mike Lawler out of New York. And again, I'm very much of the Mark Elias mindset where I believe there's proud MAGA and there's shy MAGA, right? I think they're all MAGA, whether they like it or not. And most of the ones who say that, we're different, we're not like, Marjorie Taylor Greene, will ultimately vote like her 9 times out of 10. So there's not really a meaningful difference. I think Mike Lawler is one of them. But to the extent that he's different at all, somebody like that has to tread lightly, because if he pisses, previously, if he pissed Trump off, he would piss Musk off, and Musk has the, cash on hand to dump hundreds of millions of dollars into these races that will oust these so-called Main Street Republicans from their primaries. Now, that might be better for Democrats in the sense that, a Trump backed Republican, a MAGA Republican, is far less likely to win a swing district or a swing state compared to a more moderate one, but that's still incredibly dangerous. And so Musk distancing himself from politics and limiting the cash flow into the Republican Party is really good. Now, part of the reason that he's doing this as well is because Tesla has performed terribly in the stock market because people are pissed off about Musk's politics, and they have every right to be pissed off. Elon Musk had a choice to make. He chose to go full-bore MAGA. That is his right. He has the right to do it. And as much as it may piss him off, the American people and markets around the world have every right to say, well, screw you. I want nothing to do with that, and I'm not going to buy your shit. Now, that upsets him. He's like, no, I should be able to say and do whatever I want and be as partisanly political as I can possibly be and be as radical as I can be, and you still have to buy my stuff. No, we don't. As a consequence, Tesla even had conversations about potentially replacing him as CEO. So I think that's also another major reason why he's backing off, is because it's hurting his brand and the brand of his companies. So, folks, this is very good news. Watching Elon Musk be very sad and visibly defeated is objectively good, I think, for the human race, right? Because he's such a terrible person. And seeing him distance himself from politics is also very good as well. I don't know how long it'll last. It sure seems like he still wants at least access to the table, even if he's not seated at it. But anything that puts distance between Trump and Musk makes it easier for the Democrats. And we should keep that in mind as we head into next year's midterms. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.